¿A dónde está papi? ¿A dónde está papi?
Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Monday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Monday. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Derry Bennett, how's it going? I posted some sweet pictures I took of the eclipse. Nice. Echo Resto Dragon, I'm going to try to check that out. Welcome. Alio, how's it going? Michael Hassler. Q Bennett on YouTube, welcome. Trump wants to help Trump run wild. He is already. Oh, Marjorie Taylor Greene, yeah. Welcome, everybody. Today will be a slightly short stream if I can help it. I got things to do. Make a dab, all right. There it goes. Dab complete. Donald Trump has nuclear meltdown after Judge Chutkan slaps him with a Biden gag order, which we will talk about. Here's the real question. How long? Do we start a countdown? Do we start a timer as to when he's going to break any of these gag orders? Very nice. Very nice pictures. I don't think I had the opportunity to see the eclipse. I'll bring them up. All right, folks, let's get started because we definitely have a lot of stuff to go through. All right. We'll show some of the pictures here of the eclipse. Nice. That's a pretty cool one. Very nice. That looks like the One Ring from Lord of the Rings. Ali with the 8 biddies, thank you so much. Yeah, camera is not eyeballs. Don't be like Trump, okay? Don't be like Trump. If you guys want to check out those phenomenal photos, you can by going in the Discord. I like this one. Very nice. Thank you, Echo Resto Dragon. I put glasses over my phone camera. Would it ruin the camera on the phone? Like, I'm just genuinely curious because I I'd excuse my ignorance, but I actually don't know the answer to that question. Would it ruin the lens if you directly point your camera without looking? I don't know. I know camera lenses are very sensitive equipment, so I guess it's possible. DeSantis welcomes 300 evacuees from Israel. He just doesn't like the brown refugees. Yeah, I mean, not the new, right? Not surprising. They just have to be the right kind of refugees, you know? Not surprising from the guy that gets Nazi support, so... Oh, so it can. It can damage the sensor. Gotcha. I thought it mentioned it. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. I mean, I figured that it might due to the sensor. But yeah. Michael Hassler, how's it going? Where did my chat go? CBS 60 Minutes covered Congress very briefly in DeSantis and Biden. We're here. All right, cool. I got you guys back. There we are. All right, folks, we got a lot of ground to cover, so let's get started.
They don't want us to get the crumbs that fall on the ground. Nothing. They want to. Matter of fact, they want to take it all away from you, and that's the part that I can't understand.
I think these guys are getting in the back room, smoke-filled room, and they're saying, "Hey, let's do this. Let's try to kill, and let's try to change the market, so we don't have to worry about unions anymore."
Since June, unionized food manufacturing workers in Memphis have been on strike against management, against the conglomerate that owns their factory, and against an economy that's still tilted against workers. The factory makes soy protein isolate. Its clients are some of the biggest food manufacturers in the world, including Nestle, Abbott, and virtually anyone that makes a protein bar. The factory has been in operation for decades, providing good middle-class jobs until now.
It's not just about the contract at this point. It's about being able to assemble and unionize and fight for your working conditions in general.
The strike was forced upon us. Nobody wanted to strike. We didn't want to come out here. Me being second generation, my father retired from here. I would like to be able to preserve this job for the next generation.
When we started negotiation, we brought forth about 19 proposals, and only a few of them affected people monetarily, and we agreed on absolutely nothing.
We have a sister plant that's in Gibson City. Right before we went through negotiations, Those guys end up, the maintenance department end up with a 9% pay increase, and the production department end up with a 6% pay increase. They didn't ask to eliminate anything, but since it's 90% of African American in a predominantly African American town.
For years, the factory was owned by DuPont Chemical, which agreed to contracts with good benefits and working conditions. But it was sold in 2020 to a conglomerate called International Flavors and Fragrances, and that's when things began to get dire. IFF made more than $4 billion in gross profit in 2022, but now it wants to take away overtime and wreck worker healthcare plans. They even want to take away paid lunch breaks.
The company doesn't want to give us what we deserve. They don't want to give us the anything after 8. They don't want to give us better benefits. They don't want to give us, the ability to take breaks freely with no consequence. They don't want to give us incentives. And so we're fighting for...
Well, yeah, it's a company's job to shaft workers as much as possible. That's how this dynamic works, right? The company's job is to shaft workers at every possible avenue all the time. That is literally part of their job, is to find out how to squeeze as much for free. And part of the way they do that is not only just by repressing wages, but also by eliminating benefits. Are we talking UAW? No, this is a different one. This is DuPont and Nestle, I think. The fact that minimum wage exists just shows that they would pay you less if they were allowed to. Exactly. And they would pontificate about something about how the market, the labor market works or something like that. Welcome, Cheeseburger Freedom Eagle.
Those unions that want to continue to fight for their betterment.
The sanitation strike happened here in Memphis. If you can't stand for something that you truly believe in and your history have a way to go over again.
I would think that it would get better, but it hasn't. Instead of it getting better, it's going downhill. We're going back to slavery time. Anytime you take all your stuff away, you have no rights, no say-so, no nothing.
Right now we have a year notice on our health benefits. Well, all of our benefits actually. So they want to change that to 30 days. What that would mean for us is that all they have to do is give us a 30-day notice. They can take whatever they want away. Our premiums have gone up. Our premiums have doubled and tripled.
Before we switched over to universal health care, we had Aetna. And Aetna was actually pretty good. Each week with Aetna, I was paying $167 a week. And this is for a family of 4. So for me, my husband, and my 2 children. Now I'm paying almost $300. That is a significant chunk out of my paycheck. I would at least get $700 a week, but now that it's dwindled down to...
Yep, and that's exactly how these corporations would prefer it, right? They're dangling stuff like, your family's health care over you. It's an implicit both threat and shackle at the same time.
Almost $500, $400, $500.
IFF's holdings and subsidiaries make it a massive corporation. It owns the single largest share of the flavors and fragrances market and owns one of the largest shares of the soy protein market. Much of that comes thanks to the workers in Memphis.
We put our life into our jobs because we held it to a higher standards. We had to recognize what we're doing. We're not making dog food or nothing like that. We're feeding the world. Babies, old folks like me, and people with different health issues, drink the insurance, different stuff like that from them.
They very much rely on us, but they may claim that they don't by saying that since we've been on strike, we're going to hire what we need to keep it running. But the last time I checked, without us, you can't run the metric tons you need each day. Now you're running less than pretty much 90% less than what we usually run in a day.
And when it comes down to the final product and stuff, that's what matters. Then it's a lot of unskilled, unknowledgeable people in there working who put their life on the line every day. Because it's stuff in there, it only takes a split second for something to go wrong where you're gonna be missing a foot, a toe, a head. We got that kind of equipment in there. We run those.
Wouldn't that by definition make it incredibly skilled to be able to operate that? I don't know. I wouldn't say that's unskilled, or maybe she misspoke.
Pieces of equipment like that. And if you don't know what you're doing, you'll get hurt. You'll get hurt or lose your life.
They absolutely want to, in my opinion, they want to break up the union. This is one of the few jobs in the city that pays above the average warehouse wage.
They're trying to force us out in hopes of, having a company without a union, because unions are fighting for stuff that they don't want to give.
We're a single shop union. So, it's kind of hard for 150 people to fight a $1 billion corporation. It is. Seems like they got endless money, endless resources. But it's gonna come a time where they're gonna need to produce. And that's where we come in.
Thank you.
Nice. Nice. Shifting gears here. The circus continues, folks. The circus continues.
There is no position that we are in at this moment that represents anything close to strength, and certainly not with much of our Senate confirmed positions being vacant and empty.
Oh, you mean the Speaker of the House?
And that too.
Yeah.
Ambassador,
so 113.
There is no position that we are in at this moment that represents anything close to strength, and certainly not with much of our Senate confirmed positions being vacant and empty.
Oh, you mean the Speaker of the House?
And that too.
Yeah.
Ambassador,
so 113.99, and then the vote changed a little bit, but it's still not the 218 they need. Do you mean that part?
Yes.
Like they can't even put out a condemnation letter from the House because they don't have a House Speaker? Look, I don't care really what they do in that chamber in terms of their leadership. I hope they are better representing the people who voted for them by getting the speaker that they want and all voices heard on the right and the far right, everybody coming together. Great. Just can you do it in 15 minutes? Like, why does this have to look like what it did when you chose McCarthy? And they're going to keep that part under wraps. And I understand we won't see anybody until a full vote. But Kellyanne, we need to get moving.
Phenomenal stuff.
The segment that you just watched from...
So also, just to, folks, you probably already know, but Steve Scalise dropped out, and now it's Jim Jordan who's been put. So, yeah. So David Duke without the baggage didn't cut it, so of course, we now have the Republican Party has now put a guy who has helped cover up sexual assaults. Phenomenal stuff here, folks. Phenomenal stuff coming out of the GOP.
From Fox News is emblematic of the growing frustration conservatives feel over the Republican Speaker debacle in the House. And Fox News is starting to very
Gymnasium Jim, Jungle Jim, if you will. Yeah.
Tell Republicans, hey, maybe it's time to get your shit together. But unfortunately for them, they're not taking the hint. Take this interview with Republican Bob Good, for example, with Neil Cavuto.
All right. Are you worried, though, no offense to you, Congressman, that you guys are looking kind of like Keystone Cops here? You can't get this done, and it doesn't bode well for Americans in their opinion of you running the House because you can't seem to run it.
Well, remember that was said back in January, and a week or two later, nobody cared that.
Yeah, just to be clear, this is the kind of shenanigans that happens with Republicans at the helm of this. Okay.
It took a few extra days to elect a speaker. We got to get this right. We will live with the impact of this decision for decades, and with $33 trillion national debt, $2 trillion.
I hope so. I hope so, but whatever. I wonder if the Dems voting for a speaker feel the way we do about voting for Biden. I don't know.
Deficit, an open border,
but what you settled in January blew up, right, Congressman? No fault to you.
It
blew
did,
up. So
it did,
would you be
I was not in favor.
Would you be for that vote to vacate the chair when all it takes is one of you guys to torpedo a speaker?
Well, only one person can bring up the vote to consider whether or not to retain the speaker. One person can't remove the speaker, of course.
But it works.
But one person can. Well, one person can bring up the vote, and Speaker McCarthy.
I mean, yeah. Yeah, the clown on the left is right. The clown on the left is right. it doesn't take one speaker, but one person to remove the speaker, but it does. You see, because it happened.
If he didn't have the votes to say a speaker,
and he got what he wanted. One guy.
Yeah, seems kind of insane, does it not? Now, the reason why there's so much frustration is because they are still deadlocked and the infighting continues. Now, since the last time that I talked about this, 113 House Republicans voted for Steve Scalise, and this means he's the nominee. Now, they held this vote during a secret ballot, but the problem is that 99 other Republicans voted for Jim Jordan, and they don't seem interested in Steve Scalise at all, and they don't seem willing to back down from that position, which is a problem. Hey, sorry to interrupt here, but it's Mike from the future. Just letting all of the viewers know that as soon as this video was finished being edited and exported and being uploaded to YouTube, turns out we got some breaking news that I did not include in this video. Steve Scalise has ended his bid to be House Speaker. Now, what you're going to notice is that throughout this video, I talk about the attacks that he faced from Jim Jordan, from Donald Trump even, so you kind of understand that this was all kind of pointing in that direction. Having said that, though, a lot of the stuff that I say is now irrelevant because I talk about it in the present tense as if he's still in the race, when he is, in fact, no longer in the race. So keep that in mind as you watch the video. But regardless, enjoy. I'll give you additional updates next week if there's anything else. But, you know, it just kind of goes to show you that covering this shit show is very difficult. But I do think that a lot of the details in this video are still important because it gives you the most up-to-date accounting of what's happening. And spoiler alert, it's a fucking mess. But either way, back to you, Past Mike. Enjoy the video, friends. And on top of that, Trump endorsed...
I don't know about y'all, but Trump, the 2025 project in the U.S. House will kill all Dems and free will. Well, I think that Project 2025 is definitely concerning, especially with the anti-democratic proclivities of the Republican Party. They are fundamentally incompatible with democracy, and this kind of illustrates that in a purely objective package that they themselves put out. It's not ambiguous. It's not hidden. It's not. There's no veil. They're telling you exactly what they'll do, should they have the chance. And they know they can't do it in a democratic fashion, because the entire premise of Project 2025 is using the executive. That's the whole point. Anyways.
Jim Jordan over Steve Scalise, and that kind of gives them a little bit more ammunition to keep going for Jim Jordan since Daddy Trump has crowned his favorite.
Well, I like Steve. I like both of them very much, but the problem, Steve is a man that is in serious trouble.
I like both of them. I like David Duke without the baggage, and I like the dude who covers up, sexual assault. Yeah, I mean, I like both of them.
From the standpoint of his cancer, I mean, he's got to get better for himself. I'm not talking about even country now. He's got to get better. And this is tremendous stress, all of the things that you hear about, and, things that you don't want to get involved in from the standpoint of getting well. Steve is going through very, very serious cancer therapy. And, of course, then he had that horrible attack years ago that, was amazing that he came back. I went to the hospital. I was with him the night it happened. I was literally with him holding his hand. And I was there the night that it happened, and the doctors gave him probably a 10% chance, and he made it. But there's tremendous after effect there. But he's got a very serious form of cancer. And, most importantly, I want Steve to get well.
Oof. Yikes. Well, he especially likes the one who could cover up a stormy situation.
I just don't know how you can do the job when you have such a serious problem.
If I'm ever shot, please don't let Trump into my hospital room. We'll do. We'll remember that one, the simulacra. Same for me, honestly.
Is that the only reason you endorse Jim Jordan?
And you know what it does? These treatments, they drain you of strength, supposedly. It's like a draining of strength. And we need tremendous strength, both inside and out, because we
What
have
are you talking about? All right, yeah, he's gone off the rails at this point.
radical left lunatics like Nancy Pelosi. And
Oh yeah, true, dude. The bastion of the radical left, Nancy Pelosi. Yeah, the Avatar. When I think like really like left wing people, the first thing that comes to mind is Nancy Pelosi. Got it.
Schiff and all these crazy people that are so bad for our country.
Yeah. Also,
And they
yeah,
gotta fight them off,
another
and they gotta-
bastion of leftism right there. Adam Schiff. Another prime example of what leftism is Adam Schiff. I mean, all we need now is Biden, right?
Got to fight the outside world off.
Right.
So Steve Scalise can't be the fighter Republicans need right now because he is dealing with cancer. Now, this is the argument that Marjorie Greene is also making. She told reporters this on Capitol Hill, and she also wrote the same thing on Twitter, saying, I just voted for Jim Jordan for Speaker on a private ballot in a conference, and I will be voting for Jim Jordan on the House floor. I like Steve Scalise, and I like him so much that I want to see him defeat cancer more than sacrifice his health in the most difficult position in Congress. I'm sure that's exactly why she's supporting Jim Jordan over Steve Scalise. Now, she goes on to say that Republicans need full leadership, which is why she's supporting Jim Jordan, so the party can focus on doing important things like protecting kids. Now, in a moment, I will explain why it is incredibly ironic to think that Jim Jordan, of all people, is going to protect kids, but we'll come back to that.
Given... oh, man. I mean, like, you can't really make this up. You can't... You literally can't make this up. How many people take Marjorie Taylor Greene seriously? Too many people. A scary amount of people, unfortunately. She's a rock star in the Republican Party. So, yeah, too many people. Yellow King, how's it going?
So we are seeing some butthurt from Republicans who support Jim Jordan and don't like that Steve Scalise.
I think even her own party does not respect her. Only the real crazy ones do. They're all the same. Whether they may like agree with her in private or not, she's a rock star for the Republican Party. She brings in the funding. So whether or not behind closed doors they may not agree with her, it doesn't matter. She brings in the revenue. Space lasers talk does not help, does it? For the Republican Party, it doesn't matter. It's fine. Clearly, because she still has a position in office. She's good at fundraising, if I remember. I believe so. I believe she is a rock star at fundraising. So clearly, it has absolutely no effect. In fact, it's beneficial. She would be speaker in 10 years. Listen, we don't want that kind of negativity, okay? We don't want that kind of vibes.
Is in the lead. For example, Lauren Bobo tweeted, "We had a chance."
I feel like her role is just to say random hurtful shit to rile people up. So the Republican Party? I don't understand. This is perfect for the Republican Party. I'll be voting for Jim Jordan. In conference, Jordan received 99. We had a unified blah, 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 blah. The American people deserve a real change in leadership, not a continuation of the status quo. Steve Scalise is the status quo, so I don't get it. She's slightly above average fundraiser. Outside that one quarter, she spent millions to use an email list and emailed about Trump. Gotcha. So maybe it was just like that one quarter and that's it.
To unify the party behind closed doors, but the Swamp and K Street lobbyists prevented that. The American people deserve a real change in leadership, not a continuation of the status quo. Now, these people are so self-absorbed because if she actually wanted to unify the party, well, more Republicans voted for Steve Scalise than Jim Jordan, so isn't that more reason for you to switch sides and not them to switch sides? She can't see past her own biases.
Roofers are furious about the...
Whoa!
What you're seeing here is signs of more rebellion from the fascist wing.
How do you feel about Newsom? Will he run in 28? Maybe. But I would, I mean, there's like some things that he's done that are good. But like, I don't know. Kevin McCarthy and Dan Crenshaw are the real fundraisers? Really? Well, that's interesting. Sharpie Diesel, yeah, furious roofers. Welcome. Newsom is not very left. That's one way of putting it. Yes, he's liberal.
Of the Republican Party. And while Jim Jordan is pretending to be a good sport, while he's talking to reporters at least, he is covertly trying to destroy Steve Scalise's chances. Newsweek reports allies of Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan are trying to sabotage House Majority Leader Steve Scalise's bid to become House Speaker by claiming the...
I personally like Michelle more. She's not going to run. Mostly because she's a black woman. Like, well, what are her policies? That seems kind of weird, right? What are her policies? Oh, wait, she's not going to run. I don't understand.
Louisiana representative has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars at a D.C. steak restaurant, according to reports. Eric Cortellessa, a politics reporter for Time, said supporters of Jordan have been sharing Federal Election Commission documents around Washington, D.C., showing that Scalise has spent...
Wait, why would I... Hold on. Why would anybody even consider any candidate if you don't know their policies? That makes zero sense. That makes absolutely no sense. Why would you even consider somebody why would you consider anybody without even knowing what their policy positions are? Wait, but you're going to vote for... You would prefer somebody without even knowing? Like, this doesn't make sense. It's not a peer-reviewed statement. It doesn't have to be a peer-reviewed statement. It just has to have some thought behind it, right? And as we found out, Obama wasn't as great as we thought he was. True. If Michelle runs, she will have policies. Well, she's not a politician. And, no, she's not going to run. So there's no point in even entertaining that conversation. Not even a simple background check of a... Yeah, exactly. Like, not even, like, anything that they've said. Nothing. Just, hey, I like this person because, like, I saw a photograph of them and, like, that's why I'm voting for them. This makes no sense. 2028 is at least a dozen once-in-a-century natural disasters away. True. How about a credit check? True. No, anyways, the conversation is really irrelevant because she's not running. Conscious Canuck, welcome. Policies are irrelevant. Do they say the word combinations that give me good fifis? Then I'll vote for them. Sounds good to me.
Spent more than $500,000 through his congressional campaign account at Capitol Grill since 2011. They are saying it reveals Scalise to be a creature of the Washington swamp and establishment, another sign that Republicans are not ready to corral around a single candidate. Some are preparing for a lengthy and bitter fight, Cortellessa posted on X, formerly Twitter. Now, I've got to say, it is very telling that Jim Jordan's allies are using steak dinners to attack Steve Scalise instead of, any of these other things you can attack him for, primarily him calling himself David Duke without the baggage. That seems pretty incriminating if you ask me, but of course, such a statement doesn't even register as controversial to Republicans.
No, because it's fine. That's actually a good thing for them. They don't care. That's actually a plus, right? And he knows that. That's why he said that. That's literally why he said the quote, right? I'm David Duke without the baggage.
It's because they probably think that it's good.
Yeah.
And they like that about him. In fact, they find that...
Yeah, okay, yeah. I mean, yeah. True. All right, cool. Yeah.
An advantage, not a disadvantage. But they're going with steaks instead. Now, look, I get that $500,000 is a lot to spend on steaks, but not the biggest concern that I have personally when it...
No, David Duke, as in the former Grand Wizard, that David Duke. It's the Republican Party. I don't know, like, why This would be surprising. How about a complete forensic audit of all Congress people every 4 years? Now, hold on. Now that sounds like some communism to me, all right?
Comes to Steve Scalise. But Jim Jordan has to tread very carefully here because there's a lot more dirt on him than there is on Steve Scalise. And it seems as if Scalise has kept his powder dry so far. But if he really wanted to, I think that he could destroy Jim Jordan. But not everyone is remaining quiet, and Jim Jordan's past is now coming back to haunt him since he's in the spotlight again. Newsweek reports 4 former wrestlers from Ohio State University who accused Representative Jim Jordan of failing to act on allegations of sexual abuse.
And I hope that this never escapes him. I hope it never escapes him. At every corner, this dude should be faced with that. Belgium-Sweden match abandoned after 2 Swedes shot dead in Brussels. Jesus. How about 5 years? Nah. We don't do communism here, okay? The idea that representatives should be like audited and have more transparency to the people? Nah. Nice idea, but there are campaign finance laws in offices. Those are a joke. Okay? Those are a joke. Clearly. If you've seen any of the stuff that has been going down for the last couple of years, those are a joke. They're there to look pretty because like all these like lawmakers who have been finagling with the stock market have all but expanded their portfolios. You mean Jim Jordan not reporting sexual abuse when he was a coach? Yeah, 100%. That's what I'm talking about. I hope he has to face that at every corner for the rest of his life. They have to get elected every 2 years, true.
When he was the team's assistant coach, said the congressman shouldn't become the new House Speaker. Jordan has long denied accusations that he was aware of any abuse allegations aimed at OSU team doctor Richard Strauss while the Republican worked as a coach between 1986 and 1994. The allegations against Jordan first emerged in 2018, with 6 former wrestlers telling CNN in 2020 that Jordan knew of complaints from students about Strauss, but failed to take any action. Quote, "He doesn't deserve to be House Speaker," said Dunyasha Yetz, one of the former OSU wrestlers. "He still has to answer for what happened to us." Mike Scheich, who is one of the hundreds of OSU students who say they were abused by Strauss, added, "Do you really want a guy in that job who chose not to stand up for his guys? Is that the kind of character trait you want for a House Speaker?" Scheich dismissed Jordan's suggestions that he wasn't aware of any abuse allegations against Strauss. Quote, "His locker was just a few spots away from mine, and mine was near Dr. Strauss," Scheich said. "And we were always talking about Dr. Strauss. There's no way he didn't know what was going on." Rocky Ratliff, another one of Strauss's alleged victims, who is also a lawyer representing some of the plaintiffs.
Yeah, I call bullshit, but okay. Audit them? Yeah, I mean, on a serious note on that topic, welcome Heat. On a serious note on that topic, I mean, like, we have campaign finance laws. We have supposed laws that would, that would be enacted as checks and balances. But unfortunately, a lot of times, like, these Congress people, like, I don't know, like Nancy Pelosi, just get to like skirt that, Can the House function without a speaker? No, they're literally just going to sit there. They can't do anything. For all intents and purposes, like they're literally just not able to do anything meaningful. They have a speaker pro tem or however it's pronounced. They have like a temporary speaker, but that speaker has limited power. So basically, they're just gonna sit there. They're not doing anything. They can't do anything until they elect a new speaker. Then they can begin to put like laws or whatever it is that they're gonna do. Oh, but why was Jordan and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Boebert voted in? I'm not sure. I'm confused about that question. I mean, how did they win their elections? Heavily gerrymandered districts probably had a hand in some of that. I would imagine.
plaintiff suing OSU said the accusations surrounding Strauss were an open secret at the university while Jordan was there. Yeah, this story is genuinely nauseating, and I absolutely believe the students. Jim Jordan feigning ignorance is something that he's doing, obviously, to make himself seem innocent, but his negligence here was so bad that I think it was arguably criminal. We're talking about somebody that didn't just sexually abuse a couple of kids, because that would be bad in and of itself, right? He abused 177 male students at least within a 10-year period. And you mean to tell me that Jim Jordan never got the sense that something was off? I just don't buy it. I don't even buy stupidity as an excuse. I don't.
Yeah. I mean, 177 over a 10-year period. I mean, except Boebert, her margin was razor thin. Gotcha. Yeah, she was the exception in that list. That's right.
I don't think that anyone can be that oblivious. Jim Jordan made the choice to remain silent because that was the most convenient option for him. Why rock the boat? Might as well allow the abuse to continue for years, even though it's an open secret that this is happening. So going back to Marjorie Greene's tweet about supporting Jim Jordan to protect kids, I find that so disgusting and comical, because he had the chance to protect kids from a serial predator and he failed miserably. But Marjorie Taylor Greene thinks that, well, he's the one we can trust to protect kids. This party is such a joke. But whenever Republicans are hit with the truth and inconvenient facts, well, they do what Jim Jordan did. Plead ignorance. This is what Nancy Mace, a supporter of Jim Jordan's bid to be speaker, did when she was confronted about this on CBS News.
I know you've been outspoken about defending victims of sexual assault due to the past allegations against Jim Jordan that he turned a blind eye to sexual abuse. Give you any reservations?
Nah.
I'm not familiar or aware with that.
Oh, sorry. No. The classic, like, I don't know him. I've never seen that person. I don't know who they are. Man. I saw this on Sunday morning. That's a strong statement. The GOP can be galactically oblivious. No, it's on purpose, right? I mean, like, you're telling me that she didn't know about the allegations?
He's not indicted on anything that I'm aware of, and so I don't know anything and can't speak to that. But I will say that I have been.
I don't know. I don't know. I never heard of this story. I mean, like, we're a skip and a hop away from saying, I've never seen Jim Jordan.
You said, Margaret, I don't know anything, and I don't know anything about that. What I do know is that I've been a very strong voice for women. I've talked to Jim Jordan and Steve Scalise about that. I've been a very strong advocate for...
Wait, you said you didn't know, but you talked to Steve Scalise and Jim Jordan about that? About what, women's rights? What does that have to do with the allegations? The question that she's asking you is, like, how do you square that given, like, his history? That's what the reporter's asking.
For rape victims, as you mentioned earlier,
but clearly not. Clearly not. 177 victims over 10 years, and this dude did nothing?
Judiciary Committee, as with him as chairman, recently passed a rape kit bill that Barbara Lee and I are working on. And those are the facts and the data that I have to work with. And I've had a very positive experience with him in that regard.
Yeah, I'm not buying it. It's despicable that this party, who makes their entire identity or their main focus this year about protecting kids, they prop up somebody who protected a predator. It's genuinely morally...
Yeah, well, maybe it's because they were never about protecting kids to begin with. Maybe kids should be protected from them. Every accusation is just a confession. That's it. That's literally it. This is like time and time again, all these people who talk about like we need to protect the kids and groomer or whatever, every time it turns out that these people either are the groomers themselves or protected the groomers. They were saying we need to protect kids from gay marriage when Hastert was speaker. Yeah, it's the same old song and dance. But at the end of the day, they're not actually interested in protecting kids, like actually protecting kids. That's not really what they're about. Once we reach basketball numbers and accusations, deniability starts becoming harder to reason. Right, because I'm sorry, over a 10-year period. And you didn't know about that, even though it was like, no, it was known throughout the school. Okay, dude, sure. Alio with the 8 biddies, thank you so much, I appreciate it. Jesus was a pedophile pirate? What does that mean?
Egregious, but it's right on brand for Republicans. Now, since we're on the subject of Nancy Mace, I would be remiss to not mention her bizarre publicity stunt where she showed up to Congress wearing a big red A on her shirt, and she explained why she did this in an interview with reporters. So let's watch that, and then I have a lot to say when we come back.
I'm wearing the scarlet letter after the week that I just...
Jesus. Victims have testified under oath that they did go to Jordan for help at the time. Jesus. And yet this dude is walking around pretending like, oh, he's innocent and you had no idea that this was happening. "10 years and you don't know the full extent of your job and team." Yeah, I mean, like the simulacra said, there's people who testified under oath. There's victims who testified under oath. I mean, like, the dude's disgusting. And that's the guy who they've decided to elevate on the platform of protecting kids. "I worry about the Earth's stupidity being the second most abundant resource in the universe after hydrogen. Levels of stupidity being collected around the Earth could cause the planet to collapse into a black hole." I don't know, man. It's like at some point, is it stupidity? Is it stupidity? I don't know. Or maybe I'm just not understanding what you're saying, but this is all purposeful. These people know what they're doing. These people know what they're doing.
Had last week, being a woman up here and being demonized for my vote and for my voice. I'm here to let the rest of the world know and the country know I'm on the side of the people. I'm not on the side of the establishment, and I'm going to do the right thing every single time, no matter the consequences, because I don't answer to anybody in D.C. I don't answer to anyone in Washington. I only answer to the people.
Okay. The problem, Nancy, is that that's not what that means. As HuffPost explains, the 19th century novel tells the story of a woman who gets pregnant and is forced to wear a scarlet letter A as punishment for adultery. Now, people roasted her online for this, saying, "Show me you haven't read Scarlet Letter without telling me." And this person correctly points out that she will never be Emma Stone, which is accurate because in the movie Easy A, which is where that screenshot came from, that was a teenager who wore the Scarlet Letter in response to her being slut-shamed, whereas Nancy Mace is a 45-year-old woman who is not being accused of adultery or being punished for it, to my knowledge. She's just doing it because she wants to make herself seem like the victim because Republicans didn't like that she voted to oust McCarthy when she knew that that would be controversial. It's just so embarrassing. This is somebody who, out of all the Republicans, she was seemingly more sane. I mean, still insane to be clear, but more sane than the rest of them. But in the course of a year, she has completely demolished her reputation as a more reasonable Republican. And now she just seems as idiotic as the loudest Republicans in Congress. But back to the speaker race, because the pressure is increasing on Republicans to find someone, especially now since they want to vote.
Reasonable Republicans? What?
To send military aid to Israel, but neither the nominee or the runner-up are seemingly able to get enough support in the event this came to a vote on the House floor, and they know that. And that lack of a consensus has led to Kevin McCarthy flirting with the idea of once again throwing his hat back in the ring. For example, he tweeted out a 5-point plan to respond to the war in Gaza and has expressed interest in re-entering the race if there's enough support for him. But the problem is that there isn't enough support for him. The Hill breaks down the current conundrum Republicans are dealing with. Quote, McCarthy's detractors appeared in no mood to allow for his return, and neither Jordan nor Scalise seem to have a lock on the closed-door conference vote.
It's the circus. The circus. The circus continues.
Plan for Wednesday, and as we saw, they were pretty divided, leaving the House GOP without a clear path through the speaker conundrum. Quote, we're kind of like a scattergram. We're all over the map in terms of the way forward, said Steve Womack, a leading appropriator, adding to...
He sent me a DM rant? Oh, no. Oh, no. Please don't DM mods. Okay? Like, if you do that, that's not good. That's not good. That's... Why would you do that? Jim Jordan won the support of several key skeptics in the Republican conference on Monday, bolstering momentum for his bid for Speaker ahead of a planned vote on Tuesday, tomorrow. Armed Services Chairman Mike Rogers and House Appropriation Defense Subcommittee Chairman Kevin Calvert, two key defensive hawks, the GOP bloc perhaps most wary of Jordan, announced on Monday that they would back Jordan on the House floor. Well, I don't know. I don't know if he has the votes yet.
Reporters that talks were civil during a conference meeting Monday evening, but that there are still hard feelings after McCarthy's ouster. This is a hard conference to lead, Womack continued. That's a polite way of putting it. There's a lot of free agents in there. That's another really polite way of putting it. A lot of people that just aren't going to forfeit their individual voting card. But I think right now, the need for the conference is to function more like a team. Good luck, bud. The world's watching what's happening, and we need to come together and unify behind a speaker, Foreign Affairs Committee Chairman Michael McCall said Monday, but that pressure hasn't yet led to a consensus. Yeah, and at the time that I record this video, at least, that still appears to be the case. It's almost as if this isn't a serious political party and they are incapable of governing because they're more concerned with theatrics and self-aggrandizement than actual governance. But keep in mind, as Jim Jordan attacks Steve Scalise is also getting attacked from a different angle because last week Axios reported that McCarthy's allies are also working covertly to undermine his bid to be speaker. So the person who is the nominee with the best chance is getting attacked from the other frontrunners. I don't know if you can call McCarthy a frontrunner, but he's at least a prominent Republican with a lot of sway still, and it just looks like a complete mess, and I just can't see that changing anytime soon. But I hope it gets messier because this is the most entertaining reality show I've seen in a while, and I will continue to watch so long as they continue to entertain and put on the show.
Well, that's true. Granted, while that's true, yeah, it's a problem. It's a problem. All right, so really quickly, just for the memes, the Biden campaign joins. Trump says he will appeal the gag order. Why so scared? Yeah, because he knows that he can't help but violate that, like within 5 seconds, of him getting access to social media. Biden campaign joins Trump's Truth Social. The Biden campaign on Monday, today, joined Truth Social, the platform founded by President Trump, pushing its message on a platform largely dominated by the former president and his followers, and said, well, let's see how this goes. Converts are welcome, the campaign wrote in its first post on the platform under the handle @BidenHQ. The campaign followed up with another post that featured a clip of Ron DeSantis criticizing Trump on his record on national debt. Quote, a thing about campaigns is sometimes you just do things for the lulz. Yeah, but I don't know. Is this really like a tactical move over here? Fox reported that the Biden campaign would join Truth Social, which Trump founded in 2021 and launched in 2022 after he was suspended from Twitter and other major platforms following the January 6th insurrection. Yeah, he can't keep his mouth shut. Trump has since posted almost exclusively on Truth Social. He has more than 6 million followers on the platform, which is a fraction of the 87 million he has on Twitter. Will Trump silence Dark Brandon on Truth Social? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the plan is here, or what the play is by joining Truth Social. Anyways, I just thought that was funny. There's no point. There's no convincing with these people. I don't understand. Yeah, I don't understand. Let them try. No, there's no there's no communicating with such a partisan group of people that are to the point where it's a cult, right? To the point where they're not listening to reason. So personally, I think it's an exercise in futility. I don't know what the play is there. Because there are going to be no converts. I can say that with a pretty good sense of accuracy. Not that it's impossible. Not that it's impossible, but it is like talking to a brick wall. Since Truth Social, I believe, is financially on its last legs. Yeah, that's another good point. That's another good point. So what exactly is the point? Actions aren't about converting anyone. It's about getting your voters out and keeping your opponent's voters at home. Exactly. Exactly. It's very rare that you're going to go to a place like Truth Social and have really productive conversations and converting people. So I don't know what the play is there. Anyways, I thought that was funny. Switching gears really quickly, somebody mentioned the gag order. Yes, this just happened today. We have a new update. Trump does not have the right to say and do exactly what he pleases, says Judge Chutkan, issuing the gag order. A federal judge on Monday, today, issued a gag order on former President Trump, limiting what he can say about the special counsel, Special Counsel Jack Smith's federal prosecution into his alleged attempt to subvert the 2020 presidential elections. The order restricts Trump to publicly target court personnel, potential witnesses, or the special counsel and his staff. The order did not impose restrictions on disparaging comments about Washington, D.C., where the jury will take place, or certain comments about the Justice Department at large, both of which the government requested. Quote, this is not about whether I like the language Mr. Trump uses, says Judge Chutkan. This is about the language that presents a danger to the administration of justice. Which is true. I mean, under any other circumstance, if anybody else did what this guy has been doing on Truth Social, they would be in jail. But my free speech My freeze peach. My peach that is frozen? His presidential candidacy does not give him carte blanche to vilify public servants who are simply doing their job. Chutkan noted that any violation of her orders could result in sanctions. Trump will appeal the order, he said in a post on his social media website, Truth Social. We'll appeal the gag order ruling. Witch hunt. I did nothing wrong, and they indicted me. It could be they created a Truth Social account as a lazy way of reaching out to where the people are. Reaching out to where the people are. That doesn't make sense. If you want to reach out to where the people are, you go to like actual platforms, right? Like Twitter or Facebook, you know. Mighty Mouse, welcome. AKA Mouselander, how's it going? Following the 2 federal indictments against the former president, Trump has lashed out against prosecutors, potential witnesses, and the judge overseeing the election subversion case in Washington. Prosecutors with special counsel Jack Smith's office say these comments are enough to warrant a narrow restriction on Trump's speech around this case. Chutkan, often the target of Trump's attacks, would warn the former president that comments he or his attorney could make could threaten the case. Mr. Trump is a criminal defendant. He is facing 4 felony charges. He is under the supervision of the criminal justice system, and he must follow his conditions of release, which is an indication that he's probably not doing that, and therefore, like, I don't know why he's still out. Trump is so arrogant, he thinks he's a bad witch. That's appealing. No, he thinks he did nothing wrong. He thinks he did nothing wrong. Quote, he does not have the right to say and do exactly what he pleases. Do you agree with that? She asked Trump's attorney, who responded 100%. I got you on both sides. Thank you. I appreciate that. Trump's attorney have attacked the proposed order as fundamentally antithetical to his First Amendment rights and suggested that the order was simply a way for President Biden and the Justice Department to hurt Trump's ability to campaign. I mean, like, this is how you know, like, the situation's pretty dire on the Trump's defense side. This is how you know the situation's pretty dire. Laura accused the special counsel's office of trying to prevent Trump from speaking out about the issue, about the issues of the day. Every single issue that relates to this case also has political issues. In social media posts, Trump has attacked Chutkan as a biased, Trump-hating judge and called Smith deranged and a thug, as well as attacked individual members of his team. Jesus. If Trump is a victim of a witch hunt, that means he must be a witch, which means he can't be a Christian, so... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what type of logic you're trying to deploy there, but there's no logic needed here. There's no logic needed here. I mean, Trump could literally, yeah, let's weigh up against the duck. If the what was it? Oh man, I forgot the skit. If the duck is lighter, then that means he's not a witch. When you start using words like thug to describe a prosecutor just doing their job, that wouldn't be allowed in any other criminal defendant. Witches burn because they're made of wood, and wood floats and duck floats. Gotcha. Yes. So Trump would have to wait. I forget the skit. Would Trump have to be the same weight as the duck, because then that means he would float. So therefore he is a witch. Okay, the same weight. Okay, gotcha. I haven't watched it in a while. Sorry. Bromedius. Trump and Republicans cry McCarthyism, but literally want that for others. I mean, yeah, they're not they're not a very democratic group. Okay. They're not really a democratic group. Yeah, so that by definition, it means that he's violating the conditions of his release. So he should be in jail. That's a pretty huge eggs, true. Just because the defendant is running a political campaign does not allow him to do whatever he wants. She added, quote, if the message Mr. Trump wants to express is my prosecution is politically motivated, he can do so without using highly charged language. Trump's legal team had little reaction inside the courtroom as Chutkan issued her order, but afterwards they were fairly jovial. One of the lawyers emerged from the courtroom telling another that they would need to call their client. Trump's attorneys declined to comment after the hearing. Chutkan on Monday pushed Lara over Trump's public post targeting Smith's office, saying that his highly charged language pushes the bounds of what a criminal defendant can say publicly about their legal case. The judge said that Trump's troubling post may encourage harm against Smith and his team and questioned Trump's attorney as to why he should not be restricted from publicly attacking prosecutors during his case. I mean, like, this is a no-brainer, right? This is a no-brainer. Is Trump even capable of not using highly charged language? No. No. Which is why they're going to try to fight this gag order, because they know, like, if he has access to a phone, if he has access to the ability to post on Truth Social, or any social media, like, chances are he's going to violate this. No doubt. I mean, unless they really sit him down and be like, yo, you're going to jail. Do you understand? Or they maybe if they take away his phone, maybe if they physically take away his phone or take away his access to Truth Social, maybe. And Donald Trump, married to Eric Trump, broke DMCA by singing and using Won't Back Down by Tom Petty to help Trump's chances. That's funny. Chutkan specifically pointed to a Truth Social post in which the former president referred to Smith as a thug, asking Laura, what kind of case do you think it would be appropriate for a criminal defendant to call the prosecutor a thug and stay on the streets? Will no one rid me of this meddlesome priest comes to mind. Laura slammed the proposed restriction on Trump's ability to discuss prosecutors, saying, what kind of words does someone use to battle oppression or a society that he believes is veering towards totalitarianism? President Trump firmly believes that these proceedings are brought by a politically motivated prosecutor. His word choices prompted Chutkan to ask him to tone down his language. The judge sat back in her chair, shaking her head as Laurel spoke. She repeatedly reminded him that Trump is, as a criminal defendant, is able to face court-imposed restrictions about what he may say publicly about people involved in the case. Laurel agreed, but argued that it may be impossible to enforce additional restrictions while he is campaigning for presidency, and that everything Trump has said publicly abides by court orders so far. During the hearing, Chutkan took issue with Laurel, saying, what you have put in place is working regarding Trump's release conditions. The judge laughed loudly in the response to Laurel's statement and told the attorney to stop making political arguments in her courtroom. Oof, that's not good for the Trump defense. Yeah. Nice meme. Yeah, no true social for a week or for forever, ideally. Arguments put forth by Laura prompted Chutkan to cut him off several times as he argues Trump should not be restricted on what he can say while campaigning for president. Laura at one point accused the special counsel's office through the proposed gag order of trying to prevent Trump from speaking out about the issues of the day. The issues of the day? Okay. But Chutkan made clear that she wouldn't tolerate such rhetoric in her courtroom. Quote, "The politics stop at this courtroom door." Chutkan also reminded Laura that Trump is a criminal defendant with restrictions on him, that he can't intimidate witnesses or jurors while awaiting trial, while Joe Biden is not. "We have no interest in stopping the defendant from running for office or defending his reputation, nor does our proposed order do that," said Prosecutor Molly Gatson during the hearing. "This is about the participants, the witnesses in this trial. It is limited to those individuals, and it is limited to statements that are intended to influence the venue or potential jurors." The judge added that the trial date set for March won't change. The trial will not yet yield to the election cycle, and we will not revisit the trial date. Prosecutors say that the attacks against potential witnesses include former Vice President Pence and former Attorney General Bill Barr could result in witness intimidation by his followers. The defendant's relentless public post-marshalling anger and mistrust in the justice system, the court, and prosecutors have already influenced the public, prosecutors wrote in a filing last month. For instance, on August 5th, an individual was arrested because she called the court's chambers and made racist death threats to the court that were tied to the court's role in presiding over the defendant's case. Like, why wasn't this from the beginning the standard procedure? Knowing that this guy has a history of doing this shit. Again, anybody else would be in jail. Anybody else would literally be in jail. They told the judge Monday that their goal is not to stop Trump from campaigning. "We have no interest in stopping the defendant from running for office or defending his reputation, or does our proposed order do that? This is about the participants, the witness." Okay, we already went through this. "It's limited to those individuals, and it's limited to statements that are intended to influence the venue or potential jurors." When he first appeared in Chutkan's courtroom in late August on charges that he unlawfully worked to overthrow the 2020 election results, the judge warned Trump that against making inflammatory comments in the case. "Legal trials are not like elections to be won through the use of meetings, halls, the radio, and newspaper." Chutkan said at the time, "I will take whatever measure are necessary to safeguard the integrity of these proceedings." Any restriction on Trump's speech, regardless of how narrow, would likely be brought up in appeals in the case, along with the defense attorney's claim that the federal case against Trump is being rushed in order to secure a conviction against him before the election. Firefly, because we live in a clown country. True. If Chutkan does decide to place restrictions on what the former president can say, she won't be the first judge to do so. In early October, the judge overseeing the ongoing New York civil fraud trial against Trump issued a gag order against the former president after he attacked a member of the court's staff. "Considered this statement and forbidding an order forbidding from all parties from posting, emailing, or speaking publicly about any members of my staff," said Judge Engoron after Trump accused his clerk of being Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer's girlfriend and calling her to be dismissed on a social media post. "Failures to abide by this will result in serious sanctions." Yeah, I mean, the dude should be in jail. The dude should be in jail. But here we are. I guess we'll be keeping up on any updates that happen on any of these cases. But yeah, I mean, like, this should have been done a long time ago. There should have been standard procedure, knowing who they're dealing with. Speaking of clown country, driving 100 miles in labor, giving birth in the ER, fears rise as 3 maternity units prepare to close in Alabama. By the end of this month, 2 Alabama hospitals will stop delivering babies. A third will follow suit a few weeks later. That will leave 2 counties, Shelby and Monroe, without any birthing hospitals and strip a predominantly black neighborhood in Birmingham of a sought-after maternity unit. After that, pregnant women in Shelby County will have to travel at least 17 miles farther to reach a hospital with an OBGYN. And because of the county, one of Alabama's largest, is bordered by another whose hospital also lacks an obstetrics unit, some of those residents are also losing the closest place they could go to deliver their babies. There's a sense of dread knowing that there's going to be families who are now not only driving to one county over, but driving through 3 counties, said Honor McDaniel, Director of Maternal and Infant Health Initiatives of March of Dimes in Alabama. People in Monroe County, meanwhile, could face drives of 35 to 100 miles to a labor and delivery department. Trekking that far to give birth is not unheard of in Alabama, which more than a third of the counties are maternity care deserts, according to March of Dimes, meaning they have no hospitals with obstetrics care, birth centers, OBGYNs, or certified nurse midwives. The state has one of the highest maternal mortality rates in the country. Only 3 others have had higher rates between 2018 and 2021. According to the CDC, Alabama also has the nation's 3rd highest infant mortality rate in 2021, which is the latest data available. Physicians currently or formerly affiliated with the Alabama maternity units about to close fear the consequences for pregnant women and babies, especially if people are not able to reach the birthing hospitals quickly enough in emergencies. People are going to show up to delivering in the ER, and you're going to have bad outcomes, said Dr. Jasana Cooper, an OBGYN who formerly worked at Princeton Baptist Medical Center, the Birmingham hospital closing its maternity services. If you show up with a very premature baby and deliver in the ER, you don't have a NICU, you don't have an obstetrics team, things aren't going to go well. The closure comes as the need for obstetrics care in Alabama is anticipated to rise as a result of its abortion laws. The state has banned almost all abortions since June of 2022. Nice. Phenomenal stuff. The hospital's losing obstetrics department in Birmingham and Shelby County are both part of Brookwood Baptist Health, a healthcare network with 5 hospitals in Alabama. A spokesperson for the network declined NBC News' request for an interview, but said in a statement the decision came after careful considerations. Yeah. See the problem with for-profit systems? Yeah. We will support a smooth transition for care for patients, and Brookwood Baptist Health remains committed to providing outstanding maternity care within our network. Yeah, within our network. Cool. Monroe County Hospital, meanwhile, attributed the closure of labor and delivery unit to a staffing shortage. The department has just 1 physician, and at least 2 are needed to keep labor and delivery services running. It seems no amount of money provided by the hospital board for support of labor and delivery has been sufficient to maintain the service. We have supported and will continue to support labor and delivery if there is someone that could provide the service. In some cases, keeping maternity units open is a financial challenge. Yeah, since the departments aren't always profitable. Walbert, thank you for the follow. Several Alabama physicians said around 9% of the state's residents have no health insurance, according to the report from the Census Bureau, and almost half of births in Alabama are covered by Medicaid. Reimbursements for that program can be substantially lower than for private insurance plans, which is the problem when you have a predominantly for-profit system, right? Part of the reason this is happening is because it's not profitable. But you know what? People still need this. Okay? It may not be profitable, but there are people still delivering babies. Walter, goat, turquoise, white horns. Oh, is that like an emote? I guess it didn't show up in the chat properly. Maybe YouTube has special emotes that I can't see. Hold on. Oh, there it is. Okay, I can see the emotes in the YouTube chat. I see it. That's pretty neat. I like the little cat in the box. I like that one. They're literally legislating themselves and their community to death. Yep. In some cases, keeping maternity units is a financial challenge since they're not always profitable. Yes. Nobody wants women and children to do poorly, but you also can't lose money over a year on the service line. What? Like, can we take a second to like absorb that? Nobody wants women and children to do poorly, but you also can't lose money year after year on a service line, said Dr. John Voights, CEO of the nonprofit Cahaba Medical Care, which runs medical clinics that take patients regardless of their ability to pay. Several of the Cahaba's physicians deliver babies at Princeton Baptist and Shelby Baptist. Oh wait, no, never mind. I take that anger back. He is complaining. I think he's saying it in a tongue-in-cheek way. There's something broken about the funding stream that helps us take care of our women and children. Well, yeah, there's something fundamentally broken about making this about profit. I mean, this is unequivocally the worst way to handle healthcare. Because stuff like this happens. If it's not profitable, they'll shut down entire wings when people still need that treatment, care, or services. Such challenges are not isolated to Alabama. Nationally, fewer than half of rural hospitals have labor and delivery services, according to the Center for Healthcare Quality and Payment Reform, a policy-focused nonprofit, because this is a for-profit system. That's why this. It's not just Alabama. It's the entire country, because we are a predominantly for-profit system. So far this year, obstetrics departments have also closed in California, Idaho, Massachusetts, and Tennessee. The stakes of losing these services are high. A 2018 study found that rural counties that lost obstetric services reported more preterm births within the following year than those that maintained such care. Preterm birth is associated with low birth weight, such as the second leading cause of infant death in 2021. Dr. Raul Ashford, an OBGYN with Cahaba who practices at Princeton and Shelby, said living far from a hospital with obstetrics care can discourage patients from getting health issues checked out. Also, like you combine that with like this whole movement of removing any abortion care, any abortion access, you're gonna exponentially increase this problem. So please, next, these conservatives can spare everybody with their vacuous language of like caring about kids, or caring about the babies or whatever. Please, they can all spare me with that nonsense. If patients have blood pressure issues that they're not tending to because they don't want to be bothered with the extra 45-minute drive to get evaluated, then there'll be times when the patient truly has life-threatening issues, but due to the distance and difficulty, they may choose to not be evaluated. It just feeds into the problem related to the neonatal morbidity and mortality and maternal morbidity and mortality. A long drive might also deter some people from going to the hospital early in labor, Asher added, which could lead babies to be born en route. Although Princeton Baptist isn't the only place to go to deliver a baby in Birmingham, its unique approach has gained a reputation. A hospital located in an area which 40% of residents live in poverty welcomes doulas, boasts a diverse obstetrics team, has staff specially trained to support moms in breastfeeding, and provides water tubs to patients in labor. It also has the lowest cesarean section in Jefferson County as of 2020. Dr. Heather Skanes, an OBGYN at Princeton, said that some of her patients have traveled there as far as Selma. We didn't have a fancy unit. We didn't have anything really fancy about the hospital. People were coming there because how well they were treated. John Jonquetta Bailey Archie, 43, delivered her son, Jace, at Princeton in 2021 under the care of Ashford. It's been almost 20 years since she's given birth to her older son, and her second pregnancy was high risk because she developed blood clots and fibroids. Plus, as a black woman, she is aware of the racial disparities in maternal and infant health outcomes. At Princeton, she said, I felt like I was heard and I was seen. Anna Fryer, 32, has delivered 2 babies at Princeton, her oldest son Holland and her in 2020 and her son Hutton in May. During her first pregnancy, she said she had hoped to give birth at home but went to Princeton on her midwife's advice after learning that her blood pressure had climbed dangerously high. Skeens eventually delivered Holland via C-section, but Fry said she never felt rushed into surgery. Fry, a resident of Shelby County, said she chose Princeton because the hospital respected her birth plan, but she knew if that anything went wrong and it could have given her risk of preeclampsia. Shelby Baptist was right nearby. Yeah, so like TLDR, this is a problem with a for-profit system. Okay, this is a two-pronged issue here. Not only is the for-profit system abhorrent and leading and a factor at this, but also the fact that Republicans have basically all but eliminated any access to abortion will further this crisis. Imagine having to drive half an hour, maybe more. It's messed up. It's messed up. Trying to sell me cameras? Okay.
With things getting so bad in this country for members of the LGBTQ community, for women, for members of the African American community, for Latinos, for immigrants, a lot of people want to know, is it time to pack up and leave? You know, people ask me that all the time about living down here in the state of Florida, and I answered that in a question earlier this week, but here's another question I want to address here. This is from Naomi Penelope McCarthy 9737, who asks, I'm LGBTQ, and I see things getting really bad. Do you think it will get worse before it gets better, or should I head to Canada now? And I'm always kind of torn on this issue. Same thing with like me leaving Florida. And part of it is because if we leave, we're surrendering. We're surrendering this country to the extremists. Like if I leave Florida, that's one less vote. That's a blue vote. So the Republicans, gain a 1 vote advantage. 10,000 people do it, they gain a 10,000 vote advantage. And then they're going to enact even worse and worse and worse legislation, leaving the people here to suffer even more. But on the other side of that, it's not safe. Like, it's not safe for the LGBTQ community to be in the state of Florida, to be in the South at all. So I get it. Like, I don't begrudge anybody that says, I want to leave. Like, you have to do what you have to do to protect yourself 100%. And not being a member of that community myself, like, obviously it's easier for me to be like, well, I'm going to stay for now. I'm a middle-aged straight white guy. Like, I personally am not being persecuted. So it's easy for me to be like, no, just stay and let's vote them out. Like, if it...
And to be fair, any... They'll come for any left-leaning people that that disagree with them too. Don't worry. You being straight middle-aged white person is not going to make a difference because you disagree with them. So at the end of the day, they'll come for you too. Okay.
it were a different scenario, like if they were coming for me specifically, I would probably have a much different view on it. So again, that's why if you're one of these people that is losing your rights, you make that choice to get out. I don't hold that against you at all. You have to protect yourself. So that's the big thing with that. So the other part of the question, obviously, are things going to get worse before they get better? And unfortunately, I think they will. This attack on the entire LGBTQ community, again, along with women's reproductive freedom, with African Americans, with Latinos, with immigrants, these attacks are getting worse. We're not seeing them stop. We haven't seen, a drop off and all these horrible things. It is already getting worse. And depending on where you look, some places is getting far worse much faster than in other places. So again, the solution is that we vote these people out of office. But in some areas, like you look at the state of Alabama.
Well, it depends. I mean, that is a tool in the toolbox. Yeah.
You're not going to, get these Republicans out of office. Hell, even looking at Florida, looking at Texas, we're not going to get these people passing this oppressive legislation out of office. So yes, it continues to get worse until we enact real, strong protections at the federal level. And that's where the voting actually does matter. Yeah, I'm not saying it doesn't matter at the state level, but obviously, if we can't do things at the state level, we've got to fix them at the federal level to stop what the states are doing, depending, obviously, on what we can do within our constitutional limits, because states' rights, they do have a lot of authority to do certain things. So, yes, it gets worse before it gets better. And I don't know when it will start getting better, unfortunately.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Like, I mean, you do what you can within the time that you have, within the tools that you have. I mean, like, voting is just one aspect, and when you can't vote, then like direct action is necessary. It's that simple. He has a point. Look at Turtle Mitch. Yeah. Still there somehow. All right, folks. This story is kind of a rough one. Kentucky, is it? Yeah, Kentucky. So, content warning. This story's a bit of a rough one. What's the point of having anything at the federal level when we're not the ones in charge? The whole nation, modern history from 30s onwards has been nothing but gains that get rolled back. Exactly. Mouse Slander. First they came for the communists, right? What's the point of having anything at the federal level when we're not the ones in charge? What are you talking about? Like us directly? You have to do whatever it is that is in your means, right? If you can't affect the local politics, then you organize wherever you can. It just seems silly to surrender that. Palestinian American boy killed and his mother injured after the landlord stabs them because they were Muslim. The Chicago area landlord was arrested and charged with murder and hate crimes after authorities said he stabbed and killed a 6-year-old boy and seriously wounded his mother, allegedly because the tenants are Muslim. This terrorist was charged with first-degree murder, attempted first-degree murder, 2 counts of hate crimes, and aggravated battery with a deadly weapon. The U.S. Justice Department has also opened a federal hate crime investigation into the attack. The sheriff's office said This domestic terrorist did not make a statement to detectives, but investigators determined that the victims were targeted by the suspect due to them being Muslim and the ongoing conflict in the Middle East between Hamas and the Israelis. The GOP is too loud. Let's make their life a little difficult. Well, they're not just loud. They're actively making damage. Yeah. Our landlords are parasites on a whole new level. The family is a Palestinian and came to America seeking what we all seek, a refuge to live, learn, and pray in peace. President Biden and First Lady said they were shocked and sickened over the attack and offered their condolences to the family in a statement released by the White House. Authorities were called to the residence in an unincorporated Plainsfield Township, roughly 40 miles southwest of Chicago, shortly before noon after a woman called 911 saying her landlord attacked her, according to the sheriff's office. When deputies arrived, they found this domestic terrorist sitting on the ground near the home's driveway. The release said the two victims were found in the bedroom, each with multiple stab wounds, and were taken to the hospital. The boy was stabbed 26 times and succumbed to his injuries. The 32-year-old woman had more than a dozen stab wounds and is recovering at the hospital and is expected to survive. The Chicago Office of Council on American Islamic Relations identified the victims in a news release as Hanan Shaheen and her son Wadea Al-Fayoum. Biden said the horrific act of hate has no place in America and stands against our fundamental values, freedom from fear of how we pray, for what we believe and who we are. Quote, as Americans, we must come together and reject Islamophobia and all forms of bigotry and hatred. I have said repeatedly that I will not be silent in the face of hate. We must be unequivocal. There is no place in America for hate against anyone. Hey, here's a question. Here's a question. Then why are you giving carte blanche for the actions of the Israeli government that is exacerbating this? Not surprised this attack happened, mainstream media keeps calling Hamas and other Muslim terrorists. Well, not everyone is Hamas, right? By definition, if you think that every Muslim is a terrorist, that is Islamophobia. They did this shit with Japanese and Asian Americans in World War II and again with COVID. Yeah, well, that I agree. That I agree. The family had lived in the house ground floor for years without previous notable issues. But in text to the boy's father in the hospital after the attack, Shannon said that the landlord knocked on the door, and when she opened, he tried to choke her and proceeded to attack her with a knife, yelling, you Muslims must die, according to the CAIR statement. The Attorney General said the Justice Department will use every legal authority at their disposal to bring justice to those who perpetrate illegal acts of hate. This incident cannot help but further raise the fears of Muslim, Arab, and Palestinian communities in our country with regards to hate-fueled violence. The Department of Justice focused on protecting the safety and civil rights of every person in this country. After Wadea's killing, the Illinois State Police urged vigilance Sunday, but assured that residents that at this time there's no actionable intelligence regarding any credible mass threats in Illinois. On Saturday, the Israeli military said its forces are ready for the next stages of war. To the unprecedented October 7 attacks by Hamas, which controls Gaza. Okay, well, at this point, yeah, in response, they have killed how many civilians? Yeah. My kid is 6, I'm gutted. Sorry. And all because they were Muslim. Not because they did, not because that lady did anything wrong, not because that lady attacked him, but because they were Muslim. That's it. Illinois Governor Pritzker said to take a 6-year-old's life in the name of bigotry is nothing short of evil. Every single Illinoisan, including our Muslim, Jewish, Palestinian neighbors, deserve to live free from the threat of such evil. Today, MK and I join our Muslim and Palestinian brothers and sisters in mourning this tragic loss and praying for the recovery of Wadea's mother. May Wadea Al-Fayoum's memory be a blessing. Wadea celebrated his birthday shortly before his death. said Ahmed Riyab, a Cairo, Chicago executive director, in a news conference on Sunday. He was a 6-year-old boy. He loved everything. Yeah, it was 2001. Like, why? You know, who needs a time machine when we can just repeat the same things every couple decades, right? He loved everybody. He loved his toys. He loved anything with a ball, basketball, soccer. He loved to color. He loved to swing around. He loved his parents, and he loved his family and friends. He loved life and was looking forward to a long, healthy, and prosperous life. He had no clue about any of these larger issues happening in the world, but he was made to pay for it. That's pretty freaking sad. Like that's pretty freaking sad. That's pretty sad. Daniel committed a gruesome crime. Yep. And all because they were Muslim. That's it. I hope this guy never sees the light of day. I hope this guy never sees the light of day. All right, folks. Well, we made it. The ignorance of adults is paid for by the blood of youth. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I hope he gets life a few times over and gets to serve every single year of it. Yeah. If convicted, he will never see the light of day. Which is no less than he deserves. For those of you, including myself, who are too young to see what the attitude was in 2001, we're too young to see what the attitude of folks was in 2001. Yeah, this is a tiny glimpse into what it was. Just with social media, you get it live and much quicker. But this potentially is what we're going to be seeing. Yeah. This kind of stuff that manifests itself over and over online is, it spills out into the real world. I remember when I'm brown, I was also worried. That's sad. That's sad because, like, you shouldn't. You should never be put in that position. Howdy. I graduated high school in 2003, so I didn't pay attention then. A freshman in high school in 2001. I was in, like, middle school. I was in middle school. So I was very young. I think I was maybe 11. I can't remember. I was 11, maybe. 11. So none of this happened. No, we weren't like able to see this firsthand, is what I'm trying to say. As like a middle schooler, I didn't have social media. It just didn't happen. It didn't exist. So I never got to see how people were talking. I never got to see the type of rhetoric that the media was pushing. Not really. Not really. English is not my main language. How am I supposed to respond to howdy? You're not. It just means hello. At least the current president is someone who would start calling for crusades like we had back then. It still hurts to think about it. Yeah. That's Lindsey Graham, currently calling for, saying that this is some kind of holy war or whatever. I forget his exact quote. But yeah, so for those of you who were too young, to really see what the depths, of 2001 was like, yeah, it's kind of like this. All right, folks, I got to get going. Thank you guys so much for helping. Thank you to the mods. Thank you, Heat. Thank you, Michael Hassler. I appreciate it. Thank you for all of you hanging out. I appreciate it. Thank you for the biddies. Thank you for the follows. Welcome. Welcome, new folks. Thank you. If you guys enjoy the content and want to help support the channel, make sure you head on over to the YouTubes. If you can't support the channel monetarily, there's the link. Thank you, Michael Hassler. Yes, if you follow the channel, by the way, you get free emotes, including one that Cheeseburger Freedom Eagle made, which is not one. You get a free, one of them is a free Bakita emote, which is that one there, made by the resident artist in chat. See y'all tomorrow. Yes. So I appreciate you guys hanging out. You guys are what makes this channel grow. I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. As always, folks, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you, everybody. See ya. Thank you, Heat. All right, folks, hang tight. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.